The stars looked cold and distant through the main window of the Odyssey 7. Commander Laura Grant stood with her arms crossed, watching the empty space ahead. Her ship had been traveling for 3 weeks, following a signal that should not exist in this part of the galaxy. Someone was calling for help, but nobody lived out here. At least nobody was supposed to live out here. Laura was 42 years old with short gray hair and hard eyes. She had fought in wars and lost people she loved. Her brother died when humans first met aliens who wanted to kill them. That was 15 years ago. Since then, she learned that space was full of danger. Other species did not always want to be friends. Some wanted to take what humans had. Some wanted humans gone forever. Behind her, Lieutenant Danny Fletcher worked at his station. He was her second in command and the best tactical officer she ever met. Danny was 35 with dark hair and a quick mind. He could see patterns in battle that others missed. Right now he was frowning at his screen. "Something wrong?" she asked without turning around. "The signal just changed," Danny said. "It is getting stronger. We are close." Laura walked to his station and looked at the screen. The signal was coming from just ahead. In 10 minutes they would reach it. She felt her stomach tighten. Something about this felt wrong. Ships disappeared in this area all the time. People called it the Veiled Sector because nobody knew what was out here. Nobody who came here ever came back. "Get Amy up here," Laura said, "and tell Nathan to be ready." Danny nodded and spoke into his radio. A few minutes later, Amy Rodriguez arrived on the bridge. She was the chief engineer, small and quick with oil stains on her hands. Amy could fix anything. She once repaired a broken engine using spare parts from a food machine. Laura trusted her completely. Dr. Nathan Cross came next. He was tall and thin with glasses that slipped down his nose. Nathan studied alien species and knew more about other races than anyone on the ship. He was excited to meet new aliens. Laura thought he was too trusting sometimes, but his knowledge saved their lives more than once. "Commander, we have visual," Danny said. The main screen changed. Everyone on the bridge went quiet. Ahead of them was a ship. But it was not a human ship. It was huge, maybe 5 times bigger than the Odyssey 7. The hull was dark red metal with sharp angles and weapons everywhere. Parts of it were damaged. Holes in the side showed broken metal and flickering lights inside. "That is a Catharan warship," Nathan said quietly. His voice shook a little. Laura felt cold fear run through her body. The Catharan Empire was one of the most dangerous forces in the galaxy. They were big reptiles with red scales and sharp teeth. They believed they were the best species and everyone else should serve them or die. Catharan ships had destroyed human colonies before. They took no prisoners. "Why would they send a distress signal?" Amy asked. "Maybe they did not," Danny said. "Maybe someone else sent it." A trap. Laura stared at the damaged ship. Her mind worked fast. They could run, turn around and leave. But if the Catharan were really in trouble, maybe they could use this. Learn something. Or maybe help them and earn some respect. It was risky either way. "Try to contact them," Laura said. Danny sent a message. They waited. The silence felt heavy. Then the screen changed again. A face appeared. It was a Catharan, bigger than any human with bright red scales and yellow eyes like a snake. Scars ran across his face. He looked at them with disgust. "I am War Commander Zekthor of the Drathkar," the alien said. His voice was deep and rough. "You are human." It was not a question. Laura stepped forward so he could see her clearly. "I am Commander Laura Grant of the exploration ship Odyssey 7. We received a distress signal from this location. Do you need help?" Zekthor made a sound like a growl. "Need help from humans, pathetic, but yes. My ship was attacked by an unknown weapon. Our power systems are failing. My crew is dying." Laura felt Danny tense beside her. This was dangerous. The Catharan hated humans. They would never ask for help unless they had no choice. "We can try to help," Laura said carefully, "but we will need to bring our engineers to your ship." Zekthor laughed. It was a cold sound without humor. "You think I am asking, human? I am telling you, you will help us repair our ship. If you refuse, I will destroy your tiny vessel. If you try to run, I will destroy you. If you help us and then betray us, I will hunt down every human world and burn it." The screen showed the Drathkar's weapons turning toward them. Even damaged, the alien ship had enough firepower to blow them apart in seconds. "One wrong move and you are dead," Zekthor said. His yellow eyes stared at her without blinking. Laura felt her heart beating fast. Her crew was looking at her, waiting for orders. They were trapped.
No way to fight.
No way to run. The Catharan would kill them all without a second thought. She thought about her brother, dead because he trusted the wrong aliens. She thought about all the humans who died in wars with species like this. But she also thought about something else. The Catharan ship was damaged. Really damaged. They were desperate. That meant they were weak. And desperate people made mistakes. Laura looked at Zekthor. She did not show fear. Instead, she smiled. Just a small smile, but enough to show she was not scared. Try to catch it, she said. Then she turned to Danny. Now. Danny's fingers flew across his controls. The Odyssey 7 released a dozen small objects in different directions. They looked like escape pods, but they were not. They were sensor drones, each one sending out signals that confused the Catharan targeting computers. At the same time, Amy pushed the engines to full power. The ship turned hard so fast that everyone grabbed onto something to stay standing. They dove toward the Drathkar's hull, so close that Laura could see the damage on the alien ship's surface. On the screen, Zekthor roared in anger. "Fire!" he shouted to his crew. The Catharan weapons tried to track them, but the sensor drones created too much confusion. The targeting systems could not lock on. A few shots fired, but they missed, hitting empty space where the Odyssey 7 had been seconds before. Laura watched as they flew under the massive alien ship. The Drathkar was so big that they could use its own gravity to pull them faster. It was a dangerous move. One mistake and they would crash into the hull and die. But Amy was perfect. She guided them around the ship like water flowing around a rock. They shot out the other side, engines burning hot. Behind them, the Catharan ship tried to turn, but it was too slow. The damage made it clumsy. "Launch boarding pods," Zekthor commanded. Small ships launched from the Drathkar, but they were aiming at where the Odyssey 7 used to be. By the time they corrected course, Laura's ship was already far away. "Nice flying," Laura said to Amy. Amy grinned, but she looked pale. That was too close. Danny checked his screens. "Commander, they are following us. And they look angry." Laura nodded. She knew this was not over. They escaped the immediate danger, but now they had made an enemy. A very dangerous enemy. The Catharan would hunt them. They would not stop until Laura and her crew were dead, but they were alive. And as long as they were alive, they had a chance. "Set course deeper into the sector," Laura said. "Find us somewhere to hide." The Odyssey 7 accelerated into the darkness. Behind them, the damaged Catharan warship followed, weapons ready, hungry for revenge. The hunt had begun. Running hot, almost too hot, Amy kept watching the temperature readings and shaking her head. If they pushed much harder, something would break. "How long before they catch us?" Laura asked. Danny worked his controls, checking the sensors. "Their ship is faster than ours. Even damaged, they have better engines. Maybe 2 hours. Maybe less." Laura, the Odyssey 7, flew through empty space at full speed. The engines were alked to the front window. The stars ahead looked strange here. They flickered and bent in ways that made her eyes hurt. This part of space was wrong somehow. Ships disappeared here all the time. Nobody knew why. Some people said there were black holes. Others talked about strange energy fields that tore ships apart. "Nathan, what do you know about this area?" Laura asked. The doctor pushed his glasses up his nose. "The veiled sector. Dangerous. There are gravitational problems here. Old stars that collapsed. Spaces where gravity is too strong or too weak. Ships that come here get pulled off course. Or crushed. Or lost. Can we use that?" Laura asked. Nathan looked surprised. "Use it how?" "If it is dangerous for us, it is dangerous for them too. Maybe more dangerous. Their ship is bigger. Harder to control." Danny looked up from his screen. His eyes were bright. "Commander, that might work. I am seeing some gravitational fields ahead. Strong ones. If we could navigate through them, we might lose our tail." "How strong?" Laura asked. Danny did not answer right away. He was reading the data carefully. "Very strong. Strong enough to rip us apart if we get too close." "But you think we can do it?" Laura said. Danny smiled a little. "I think maybe. If Amy can keep the engine stable. And if we are very lucky." Amy looked nervous. "This is crazy. One mistake and we die. If we do nothing, the Catharan will catch us and we die anyway," Laura said. "At least this way we have a chance." She looked at each person on the bridge. They were scared. She could see it. But they trusted her. They followed her orders even when those orders seemed impossible. "Do it," Laura said. "Take us into the field." The Odyssey 7 changed direction. Ahead, space looked even stranger. The stars were bent and twisted. Laura could see something dark like a hole in reality. It was a collapsed star, dead and heavy, pulling everything toward it with incredible force. Danny guided them carefully. They approached the gravitational field at an angle. The ship began to shake as the force pulled on them. Amy adjusted the engines, fighting to keep them on course. "Gravity is increasing," Danny said. His voice was tight with concentration. "Hold steady." The shaking got worse. Things fell off tables. People grabbed onto their seats. The engines screamed. Laura held the edge of her command chair and watched the dark thing ahead grow bigger. "We are too close," Amy shouted. "I cannot hold it, just a little more," Danny said. Almost there. The ship tilted hard to one side. Laura felt like something was pulling her bones apart. The pressure was terrible. She could barely breathe. Then suddenly the ship spun. They were going around the collapsed star, using its gravity like a slingshot. Faster and faster. "Now," Danny yelled. "Full power." Amy pushed the engines as hard as they could go. The ship shot away from the collapsed star at incredible speed. They were thrown in a new direction, away from the Catharan ship. For a moment, nobody spoke. They were all trying to catch their breath. Then Danny checked his sensors and laughed. "It worked. We gained distance, a lot of distance." "Did the Catharan follow us?" Laura asked. Danny watched his screen. "They are trying, but their ship is too big. They cannot get close enough to use the gravity well. They are going around the long way." "How much time did we buy?" Laura asked. "Maybe an hour, maybe 2. It was not much, but it was something." Laura knew they could not keep running forever. The Catharan would keep coming. They needed to find a way to end this, or at least survive it. "Keep scanning," Laura said. "Look for anything we can use. A place to hide, a way to fight back, anything." The crew went back to work. Minutes passed. Then Nathan made a sound of surprise. "Commander, I found something." "Look at this." Laura walked to his station. On the screen was a strange structure. It was big, floating in space among a field of asteroids. The design was unusual. Not human, not Catharan, not like anything she had seen before. "What is it?" Laura asked. "I do not know," Nathan said. He sounded excited. "It is old, very old. The materials are not from any known species. This could be from a civilization that died out thousands of years ago." "Is it functional?" Laura asked. "I am detecting power readings. Faint, but there. Something inside is still working." Laura studied the structure. It was huge, maybe as big as a small city. If they could get inside, it might provide cover from the Catharan sensors. And if there was still power, maybe there was technology they could use. "How far?" Laura asked. 20 minutes at current speed," Danny said. "And how long until the Catharan catch up?" Danny checked again. "About the same. Maybe 25 minutes. It will be close." Laura made her decision. "Set course for that structure. Full speed." The Odyssey 7 turned toward the ancient station. Behind them, the Catharan warship continued its pursuit. Zekthor had seen the same structure on his sensors. He knew exactly where the humans were going. On the Drathkar's bridge, Zekthor watched the human ship racing toward the asteroid field. His tactical officer spoke. "Commander, they are heading for the structure. Should we intercept?" Zekthor showed his teeth. "No. Let them reach it. Then we destroy them and the structure together. Charge the main weapon." The Catharan ship began gathering power. Red energy crackled along its hull. The weapon would take time to charge, but when it fired, it would destroy everything in its path. On the Odyssey 7, Laura watched the distance to the structure shrink. 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5. "The Catharan are powering weapons," Danny said. "Big ones." "How long until they can fire?" Laura asked. 2 minutes, maybe 3. Laura felt sweat on her forehead. Come on, come on." The ancient structure grew larger. Laura could see details now. Strange symbols on the surface. Ports and docking bays. One of them looked big enough for their ship. "There," she pointed. "Take us in." Amy guided them toward the docking bay. The opening was dark. They had no idea what was inside, but they had no choice. "The Catharan weapon is charged," Danny said. "They are firing." Laura gripped her chair. "Get us in." Now. The Odyssey 7 shot into the docking bay just as the Catharan fired. A massive beam of red energy tore through space where they had been a second before. It struck the asteroid field behind them. Rocks exploded into dust. The human ship slid into the darkness of the ancient station. Behind them, a metal door slowly began to close, sealing them inside. They were safe from the Catharan weapons, for now, but they were also trapped, and nobody knew what waited for them in the dark. The inside of the ancient station was completely dark. The only light came from the Odyssey 7's external lamps, cutting thin beams through the blackness. Laura stood at the airlock door with Danny, Amy, and Nathan. They all wore environment suits in case the air was bad. "Ready?" Laura asked. Danny checked his weapon. "As ready as I will ever be." Laura opened the door. They walked out onto the station. The floor was solid under their feet. Metal, but not like human metal. It had strange patterns carved into it, symbols that meant nothing to them. As they moved forward, lights began to turn on. Dim at first, then brighter. The station was responding to their presence. The walls glowed with a soft blue light. "It knows we are here," Nathan said. He sounded excited and scared at the same time. They walked down a long corridor. The ceiling was high above them, maybe 30 feet. Everything was clean. No dust, no damage. It looked like someone left yesterday, not thousands of years ago. "How is this possible?" Amy asked. "Nothing stays this perfect for so long." Nathan ran his hand along the wall. "Advanced technology. Self-repairing systems, maybe. Or some kind of preservation field. Whoever built this was far beyond us." They reached a large door. It opened automatically, sliding into the walls without a sound. Beyond was a massive room. In the center was a platform with a glowing sphere floating above it. The sphere pulsed with light like a heartbeat. "That is a computer core," Nathan said. "An artificial intelligence." As they approached, the sphere brightened. A voice spoke. It was strange, like many voices speaking together. The words were in English, but the accent was wrong. "Welcome, travelers. I am the custodian. I have waited a long time for visitors." Laura stepped forward. "Who are you? What is this place?" "I am what remains of the architects. We were a civilization that once spread across 10,000 star systems. We sought knowledge and peace, but we were destroyed by those who feared our power." "What happened?" Nathan asked. "War. Species that could not accept peace formed an alliance against us. They came with weapons and fire. They killed billions. Before the end, we created places like this. Repositories of our knowledge, hidden, waiting for those worthy to find them." Laura felt cold. An entire civilization wiped out. She thought of humanity, small and weak compared to species like the Catharan. The same thing could happen to them. "Why are you telling us this?" Laura asked. "Because you came here fleeing violence. I have watched your ship. I know you are pursued by warriors who wish to kill you. I can help, but first you must prove yourselves worthy." "How do we do that?" Laura asked. 3 tests. The first is a test of intellect. The second is a test of empathy. The third is a test of restraint. Pass all 3 and I will grant you access to my systems. Fail, and you must leave empty-handed. Laura looked at her crew. They nodded. They had no choice. Without help, the Catharan would eventually kill them. "We accept," Laura said. The first test began immediately. A hologram appeared, showing a complex machine with dozens of moving parts. The custodian explained that the machine controlled a power system. It was malfunctioning. They had to fix it using only the tools shown in the hologram. Amy studied the machine carefully. She pointed at different parts, talking to Nathan about energy flow and magnetic fields. Laura and Danny tried to help, but this was beyond them. They could only watch as Amy worked. It took an hour. Amy tried different solutions. Some made the machine worse, but she kept trying, adjusting and learning. Finally, she found the answer. The machine in the hologram stopped shaking and began running smoothly. The custodian's voice returned. "Well done. You have demonstrated technical ability. The second test begins." The hologram changed. It showed a building collapsing. Inside were 2 groups. One was Laura's crew trapped on one side. The other was a group of aliens. Different species she did not recognize trapped on the other side. They could only save one group. The building would fall completely in minutes. Laura felt her heart pound. How could she choose? Save her crew, the people she was responsible for, or save the aliens, strangers who might not even be real? "This is wrong," Nathan said. "There must be another way." "What do you mean?" Laura asked. Nathan studied the hologram. "The building has support beams. If we reinforce this section here, we might be able to stop the collapse long enough to save both groups." Danny looked closer. He is right. If we use these materials to brace the center, the building stays up longer. Not much longer, but maybe enough. They worked together, using the hologram controls to move materials and reinforce the building. It was close. Very close. But they managed to save both groups with seconds to spare. The custodian spoke again. Impressive. You found compassion and creativity where others see only sacrifice. The third test begins. This one is different. This one is real. The floor beneath them changed. Screens appeared showing the outside of the station. The Catharan warship was still there, waiting. Then new controls appeared in front of Laura. A weapons system. This is our defense platform, the custodian said. It was designed to protect us from aggressors. The weapon uses subspace distortion to trap enemy vessels, crushing them between dimensions. You have the power to activate it now. You can destroy your enemy completely. Or you can refuse. Laura stared at the controls. One button. One press and Zekthor would die. His entire crew would die. The Catharan would never threaten them again. Do it, Danny said quietly. They tried to kill us. They will keep trying. But Laura hesitated. She thought about what the custodian said. The architects were destroyed by fear. Fear of their power. If she used this weapon, how was she different from the species that killed them? She looked at the custodian. What happens if I use this? What is the cost? The weapon will trap them in a collapsing pocket of subspace. They will be destroyed. But the weapon also damages normal space. The area around here will become unstable. Any ships passing through will be in danger. Innocent beings may die. Laura pulled her hand away from the controls. No, I will not do it. Commander, Danny started to protest. Laura raised her hand. Wait. Custodian, can this weapon be used differently? Not to kill, but to protect. There was a long silence. Then the custodian spoke. No one has ever asked that question before. Let me analyze. Yes. The weapon can be reconfigured to create a stable barrier instead of a trap. It would shield an area from attack without causing harm. Then that is what we will use, Laura said. The custodian's light pulsed brighter. You have passed the third test. You chose restraint over vengeance, wisdom over power. I grant you access to my systems. I will give you the knowledge to use the weapon defensively. I will also give you coordinates to other repositories throughout the galaxy. The architect's legacy is now yours to protect. Information began flowing into their computers. Amy watched her screen fill with technical data. It would take days to understand it all, but it was there. Power beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Thank you, Laura said. Use it wisely, the custodian said. The architects died because they kept their knowledge secret. Do not make the same mistake. Share what you learn with those who are worthy. Build bridges, not walls, Laura nodded. She understood. Then her radio crackled. It was her ship. Commander, the Catharan are powering weapons again. They are going to fire on the station. How long? Laura asked. 2 minutes. Laura looked at Amy. Can you integrate the shield system into our ship? Amy was already working. I am trying. The technology is so different. I need time. You have 90 seconds, Laura said. Amy's fingers flew across her controls. Nathan helped, reading the architect data and explaining what each system did. Danny stood ready to relay commands to the ship. 60 seconds, Danny said. Laura watched Amy work. The engineer was sweating. Her hands shook slightly, but she did not stop. 30 seconds, almost there, Amy said. Come on, 10 seconds, got it, Amy shouted. Activating now. A shimmer appeared around the station. The shield spread out like a bubble. Just as the Catharan fired their weapon, the massive energy beam hit the shield and stopped. The energy scattered harmlessly across the barrier. Laura smiled. It worked. Now let us talk to our friend out there. Laura stood on the bridge of the Odyssey 7 and opened a communication channel to the Catharan warship. The screen flickered, then showed Zekthor's face. He looked furious. His yellow eyes burned with rage. Human, he growled. You hide behind ancient tricks. But you cannot stay there forever. When your shield falls, I will tear your ship apart piece by piece. Laura kept her voice calm. War Commander, I did not contact you to argue. I contacted you to make an offer. Zekthor laughed, a harsh sound without humor. An offer? You are in no position to offer anything. Actually, I am, Laura said. We discovered something in this station. Technology from a civilization far older than either of ours. We learned how they built their power systems. How they controlled energy in ways your people never imagined. She paused, watching his reaction. Zekthor was listening now, his eyes narrowed. Your ship is dying, Laura continued. Your reactor is failing. My engineer Amy Rodriguez studied your systems when we were close. She knows what is wrong. We can fix it. We can save your crew. Why would you help us? Zekthor asked. We are enemies because we do not want to be, Laura said. You were hurt by an unknown weapon. You needed help. That is why you sent the distress signal. We answered it. Then you threatened us. We defended ourselves. But we do not want more death. Not yours, not ours. Zekthor stared at her for a long moment. In Catharan culture, offering help to an enemy was seen as weakness, but dying because of pride was seen as foolish. He looked at something off-screen, probably his tactical officer. Then he looked back at Laura. What do you want in return? He asked. Safe passage, Laura said. Let us leave this sector without pursuit. Report to your command that we helped you. Tell them humanity is not weak. Tell them we are people worth respecting. Zekthor was quiet. His claws drummed on the armrest of his command chair. Laura knew he was weighing his options. His ship would explode in hours. His crew would die. All because of pride. Finally, Zekthor spoke. I accept. But if you betray us, I will destroy every human world I can find before I die. Understood, Laura said. Lower your shields. We are sending a team. Laura ended the transmission and turned to her crew. Amy, you are leading the repair team. Take 2 engineers with you. Nathan, you go too. Keep things diplomatic. Amy nodded, but she looked nervous. Commander, what if this is a trap? What if they kill us as soon as we board? Then we activate the shield again and leave them to die, Laura said. But I do not think Zekthor will do that. He wants to live. He wants his crew to live. That matters more than killing us. Danny looked at Laura. You are taking a big risk. I know, Laura said. But it is the right thing to do. A small shuttle left the Odyssey 7 and flew toward the Catharan warship. Amy sat in the pilot seat, her hands tight on the controls. Nathan sat beside her, reading data about Catharan culture on his tablet. The 2 engineers in the back checked their tools. The Drathkar grew larger as they approached. Up close, the damage was worse than Amy thought. Huge sections of the hull were torn open. Entire weapon systems were destroyed. It was amazing the ship was still flying at all. They docked at a maintenance bay. The doors opened and they walked into the Catharan ship. The corridors were hot and dark. Emergency lights flickered. The air smelled like burned metal and something else, something organic and unpleasant. Catharan warriors waited for them. They were huge, over 7 feet tall with thick muscles and armor made from scales. They held weapons and watched the humans with cold eyes. One of them gestured for Amy and Nathan to follow. They walked through the ship. Catharan crew members stared at them as they passed. Some looked angry. Some looked curious. All of them looked dangerous. Nathan kept his hands visible and smiled, trying to appear friendly. The Catharan did not smile back. They reached the reactor room. It was massive, 3 stories tall with a glowing core in the center. The core was pulsing erratically, red and orange light flickering like a dying fire. Catharan engineers worked frantically around it, but Amy could see they were making things worse. Zekthor was there, watching his engineers fail. He turned when Amy entered. You are the human engineer, Amy Rodriguez, she said. I can fix this, but your people need to stop what they are doing. They are making it worse, Zekthor hissed at his engineers. They stepped back reluctantly. One of them, a female Catharan with dark green scales, spoke in their language. Zekthor responded sharply. The engineer looked at Amy with open hatred but said nothing more. Amy approached the reactor. She studied it for several minutes, taking readings with her equipment. The problem was clear. The Catharan were trying to shut down the reactor manually, but their approach was creating feedback loops that destabilized the whole system. Your containment fields are collapsing, Amy said. You are trying to force a shutdown, but the reactor is fighting back. We need to vent the excess energy slowly while recalibrating the magnetic seals. The female Catharan engineer spoke in broken English. That will not work. The vents are damaged. Amy looked at her equipment again. Then we bypass the primary vents and use the secondary cooling system. It will take longer, but it will work. The Catharan engineer looked skeptical, but she had no better ideas. She nodded slowly. Amy and the 2 human engineers worked alongside the Catharan crew. It was strange at first. The Catharan were not used to cooperating with other species. They barked orders and expected instant obedience. But Amy did not back down. When they were wrong, she told them. When they were right, she acknowledged it. Hours passed. The reactor continued to pulse dangerously. Twice it nearly exploded. Amy and the Catharan engineers worked together to stabilize it each time. Slowly, grudgingly, the Catharan began to respect her skill. Nathan watched from the side, staying out of the way. He saw how the Catharan interacted with Amy. At first, they treated her like a servant. But as she proved herself, they began treating her differently. More like an equal. Finally, after 6 hours of work, the reactor stabilized. The pulsing slowed to a steady rhythm. The red light turned blue. The temperature dropped. The Drathkar was no longer dying. Amy wiped sweat from her forehead. That should hold, but you need to do a full overhaul when you get back to your base. This is a temporary fix. The female Catharan engineer looked at Amy. You saved our ship. You saved our lives, Amy shrugged. It is what we do. We help people. Zekthor approached. He stood over Amy, his massive form casting a shadow. For a moment, Nathan thought he might attack. But instead, Zekthor bowed his head slightly. A gesture of respect. You fought well, engineer, Zekthor said. The Catharan respects strength. You have shown strength today. Amy did not know what to say. She just nodded. Zekthor turned to Nathan. Tell your commander that our agreement stands. You may leave. We will not pursue. Nathan bowed slightly. Thank you, War Commander. Zekthor made a dismissive gesture. Do not thank me. This is not friendship. This is acknowledgement. Your species is not as weak as we thought. That makes you dangerous. That makes you worthy of respect. He paused, his yellow eyes fixed on Nathan. But understand this. We will report this encounter to the High Command. They will take notice of humanity. Some will see you as potential allies. Others will see you as threats. Your commander started something today. Something that cannot be stopped, I understand, Nathan said. Zekthor stepped back. Go now. Before I change my mind, Amy and Nathan returned to their shuttle with the 2 engineers. As they flew back to the Odyssey 7, Amy looked at Nathan. Do you think he meant it? She asked. About not pursuing us, Nathan nodded. The Catharan have many faults, but they do not break their word, not when honor is involved. Back on the Odyssey 7, Laura watched the Catharan warship on her screen. It was turning, preparing to leave. The Drathkar's engines flared to life and the massive ship began moving away. Danny stood beside her. We did it, we survived. Laura nodded, but she did not smile. We survived. But Zekthor was right. This changes everything. The galaxy will know about us now. Some species will want to be friends. Others will want us dead. Then we better be ready, Danny said. Laura watched the Catharan ship disappear into the distance. Yes, we better be ready. 3 months passed since the encounter with the Catharan. The Odyssey 7 made its way back to human space, carrying knowledge that would change everything. Laura stood in front of the Colonial Council, a group of 20 men and women who governed human colonies across 3 star systems. She finished her report. The council members looked at each other. Some were excited. Others looked worried. Finally, Council Chairman Gregory Palmer spoke. Commander Grant, you have given us a gift and a curse. This technology from the architects could protect us, but it also makes us a target. Every species in the galaxy will want what we have. Laura nodded. I understand the risk, but we have to use this knowledge. The custodian was clear. The architects died because they hoarded their technology. They kept secrets. We cannot make the same mistake. What do you suggest? Palmer asked. We share it, Laura said. Not with everyone. Not freely, but with species that prove themselves. The same test the architects gave us. Intellect, empathy, restraint. If they pass, we help them. We build an alliance based on those principles. Another council member, Linda Hayes, spoke up. That sounds dangerous. How do we know who to trust? We do not, Laura admitted. Not at first. But we learn. We take risks. That is what exploration means. That is what being human means. The council debated for hours. In the end, they agreed with Laura's proposal. They created a new fleet with one mission: locate the other architect repositories and establish contact with peaceful species. Laura was promoted to admiral and given command. Danny became captain of his own ship, the Vanguard, part of Laura's fleet. Amy was made chief engineer for all human vessels. working to integrate architect technology safely. Nathan took a different path. He became humanity's first ambassador to the galactic community, traveling between species and building relationships. News of humanity's encounter with the Catharan spread quickly. Other species heard about the small human ship that outsmarted a Catharan warship and discovered ancient technology. Some were impressed. Some were suspicious. Some were afraid. The Catharan High Command held a council. War Commander Zekthor stood before them giving his report. He told them everything. How the humans tricked him. How they escaped. How they helped repair his ship. One of the High Commanders, an ancient Catharan named Vorgon, listened carefully. He was old, his scales faded to dark brown, but his mind was sharp. "You let them go," Vorgon said. "You had them trapped, yet you let them go." "They saved my crew," Zekthor said. "Honor demanded I keep my word." Some of the council wanted to punish Zekthor. Some wanted to launch an attack on human space, but Vorgon raised his hand for silence. "No," he said. "Zekthor acted correctly. These humans are not like the others we have conquered. They are clever. They are brave. They found technology we did not know existed. If we attack them now, we may win, but it will cost us dearly. Better to watch. Better to learn. And perhaps in time they may become useful." The council agreed. Humanity would not be attacked, but they would be watched carefully. Months passed. Laura's fleet explored the coordinates given by the custodian. They found 3 more architect repositories. Each one contained knowledge. Each one tested them, and each time they passed. Other species began sending diplomatic ships to human colonies. The Zentari, a peaceful insect-like race, asked to join the alliance. The Orvan, a species of aquatic beings, offered trade agreements. Even some of the smaller Catharan clans expressed interest in cooperation, though the High Command forbade formal alliances. Humanity was no longer invisible, no longer insignificant. They were players on the galactic stage, but not everyone was happy about this. 6 months after the encounter with Zekthor, Laura stood on the bridge of her new flagship, the Horizon's Dawn. They had just arrived at another architect repository, this one even larger than the others. The structure was built into an asteroid, hidden from casual observation. As they approached, Laura received a strange transmission. It was audio only, no video. The voice was distorted, impossible to identify. "Admiral Grant," the voice said. "You have done well. You found the architect's gifts. You passed their tests. You proved humanity worthy." Laura felt cold. "Who is this?" "We are the ones who destroyed the architects," the voice said. "We are the coalition that recognized their danger. They grew too powerful. They became a threat to the natural order. So we removed them." Laura's hand moved to her weapon even though there was no one to shoot. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you are following their path," the voice said. "You collect their knowledge. You share it with others. You build alliances. The architects did the same. And we killed them for it. We are still here, Admiral. Hidden in the shadows, watching, waiting." The voice paused. Then it spoke one final time. "One wrong move and you are dead." The transmission ended. Laura stood frozen for a moment. Danny was beside her immediately. "Commander, should we abort?" "Turn back." Laura took a deep breath. She thought about everything they had been through. The danger, the fear, the victories. She thought about her brother, dead because he was afraid to stand up to bullies. She thought about Zekthor, who respected strength. "No," Laura said. "We do not turn back. We do not hide. These people, whoever they are, they want us to be afraid. They want us to stop exploring, stop growing, stop becoming something greater." She looked at Danny, then she looked at her crew. They were all watching her, waiting for orders. "The architects died because they kept secrets," Laura said. "We will not make that mistake. We will share what we learn. We will build our alliance, and if this coalition wants to stop us, they will have to try." She smiled, the same confident smile she wore when facing Zekthor months ago. "Try to catch it," she said. The crew cheered. They were scared, but they trusted her. They believed in what they were doing. The Horizon's Dawn continued toward the repository. Whatever dangers waited in the shadows, humanity would face them. Not with fear, but with courage. Not with isolation, but with friendship. Not with weapons alone, but with wisdom. Because that was what it meant to be human, to face impossible odds and refuse to give up. to fall down and stand back up, to be threatened and smile in response. Laura stood at the window watching the ancient structure grow larger. Behind her, Danny coordinated the approach. Amy monitored the systems. The crew worked together like they always did. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Coalition watched. They had destroyed the architects. They thought they could intimidate humanity the same way. They were wrong. Humanity was not the architects. Humanity was something different. Something that had survived ice ages and plagues and wars. Something that looked at the stars and refused to stay home. Something that heard warnings and saw challenges instead of threats. The Horizon's Dawn entered the repository's docking bay. The doors closed behind them. Lights flickered on, welcoming them. Laura turned to her crew. Let us see what the architects left for us this time. They moved forward together, ready for whatever came next. The galaxy was vast and dangerous. Ancient enemies lurked in the shadows. Powerful species competed for dominance. But humanity had proven something important. They could survive. They could adapt. They could win. And when someone told them one wrong move and you are dead, they smiled and said, try to catch it. Because that was the human way.